school. Now, don't get me wrong, I love these children. I think the most hilarious unintentional comedians on the planet, as long as my livelihood's not based on what they say. Because they are also the most unreliable sources of information on the planet, aren't they? Like, we've all got funny stories of things kids come out with. Like, we were doing a topic on the weather. I said to the children, what's your favourite season? My child looked at me and went, peri peri. Or we were doing a topic on food, talking about takeaways. I said, children, what's your favourite takeaway? And a child stewed for a minute and went, I think it's 10 takeaway 1. In Yorkshire, a teacher said to a class, children, does anyone know what propaganda is? And the child went, oh yeah, it's when you have a reap, good luck. Now my friend works in a school where they've got this teacher who's obsessed with teaching French. And when they got the Ofsted call, she was desperate for MFL to get picked as a deep dive. So anyway, got a wish, and at some point the inspector said, can I speak to some of the children? So the teacher said, yeah, no worries, I'll randomly go and select a group of children. Pick these kids, you bank a house on the fat with big up French, sat there. And then this inspector said to a child, do you enjoy learning French? This child looked me dead in the eye and went, I would rather stick my head up my dog's butthole. Where'd you go from there? I think the only way that story gets any better is if the child had said that sentence in French. But I think my all-time favourite inspection-related story was this teacher got told she was going to be observed after lunch. So obviously, you don't switch off there. You spend your whole lunch time getting everything ready, handing out all your resources, touching up your displays. Just before the bell went, she realised you're not eating anything, needs the energy for the afternoon, wolfs down this sandwich, goes and picks a class up from the playground, brings them back in, settles them down, does the register, in walks the head teacher and the inspector. So they shake hands, the head teacher introduces the inspector, and as they shake hands, the inspector did this, like that. And the teacher, in front of a whole class, and head teacher went, and planted one on the inspector. And the inspector said, no, you've got mayonnaise on your chin. So, if you're having one of those days where you think, I don't think it can get any worse, it can. So I love teaching. I think teaching is the best job in the world, but I get very, very frustrated with the current education system we work in. Now, we are the hardest working generation of teachers ever now. Statistically speaking, we work more hours than ever before. On average, teachers work around 57 hours a week. SLT will work more. And the TUC did some research looking into the number of unpaid hours of overtime worked each week across all professions. And when they looked at every profession, the average number of unpaid overtime worked each week was about 4.4 hours across all jobs. Thoughts? A week. We do that a day, yeah. When they just looked at teaching, that jumps up to 26 hours a week. So we actually work more unpaid overtime than any other profession, which equates to around about 15 grand a year. Now, I know none of you, when you chose teaching as a job, thought, I'm only going to work my contracted hours. I know we all are going to do a little bit extra. I don't think teachers mind doing that little bit extra. It's very rare I come across a teacher who's willing to work hard if they know the work they're going to do is going to have a direct impact on the teaching and learning in class. The problem I have, and I think so many other teachers, is of those 26 extra hours we're working each week, I think not much of it has an impact on teaching and learning. Most of that time is currently being spent on us having to prove that we're doing the job the vast majority of us are capable of doing. So the reason we're the hardest working generation of teachers at the minute is, put simply, we're working in an education system where we are the least trusted generation of teachers. And when you're working in a system like that, that is constantly pressurising you, constantly scrutinising you, constantly making you feel like you're a failure and you're never good enough, that then has a negative impact on your mental health, which is why we see stats like this. So for the second year running, over 40,000 teachers left the profession last year. So that's 80,000 over the past 2 years. That doesn't include anyone who's died or retired, by the way. That's just people leaving. And I've become this person that a lot of people reach out to. So pretty much daily, I will get messages from teachers who are really struggling, questioning whether they can carry on doing it. And they always say, like, oh, what I worry about is if I leave teaching, I won't be able to get another job. Now, I don't want to encourage anyone to leave the profession, obviously, but I'll tell you this now. Teachers can walk into any other job, because I think we've got the most transferable set of skills going. Because I think within the remit of being a teacher, we do everyone else's job. Like, you could name me a job and we will do it in some way, shape or form. Like being a bouncer. We do that, don't we? To stand at the front of school. You're not getting in today with those trainers, pal. We're against our uniform policy. Where's the weirdest place in which I've seen a teacher in the wild? So my nan passed away last year, and I went to meet the celebrant at my mum and dad's house to organise a funeral. As I walked in, she sort of looked at me and she went, "Oh my God, it's you, it's Mr. D. I love your videos online." And initially I was like, "Oh wow, I didn't realise my social media content was engaging to funeral directors, but you know, we'll take it." She said, "Oh no, I was a teacher for 25 years, and I just got to a point where I thought I can't do it anymore. So I do this now instead." And I thought, how telling is that? That you would rather spend your working days in the company of people in their worst state of grief than teach. And she was like, "Well, yeah, it's just so quiet." Can't argue with that. So yeah, nearly 3/4 of teachers are seriously considering leaving the profession, and there's been an increase of over 200% in jobs. So unfortunately, this is the current picture of education in our country, and it's something I'm very passionate about changing. And I think there's not just one answer to it. I think there's lots of things that need changing. Obviously, we need massive investment coming into education. We need massive actual reforms with the likes of Ofsted. But for me, I think what we've really got to focus on is reducing workload effectively, right? And giving teachers time. Because very closely linked to time is the well-being issue in education, right? Well-being is a massive issue. And I think the only way in which you can improve a teacher's well-being, the first and most important way in which to do it, is to trust them to do the job, therefore actively be looking at reducing workload to give teachers time. Now, a lot of schools, they don't really do that. Instead, they're jumping on this token well-being gesture bandwagon. I'm not going to go at schools for this. I blame Ofsted again, because Ofsted have the audacity, without any sense of irony when they come into a school now, to ask a teacher, they go, "How's your well-being?" Like they're not the reason workload's gone through the roof exponentially in the past few years. Like, do you think there's a single teacher in England that since Ofsted have introduced these deep dives and this new inspection framework can turn around and go, "Oh yeah, my life's got easier"? Because as a primary school teacher, now, for no extra pay, I've got to lead a subject in my school, a subject that I didn't really study past GCSE, know that subject inside out, how it's being taught across the whole school, across the whole year, have reams upon reams of evidence to show the progression of that subject across the whole school, across the whole year, and what am I supposed to do that in my working hours? So how dare Ofsted turn around and say they care about well-being when they're constantly making workload go through the roof, you know? And that forces schools to go, "Oh, we've got to do something for well-being." And this is where you see these patronising gestures. And I know the heart's in the right place, but honestly, just the first day back in January, I'll give you an example. First day back in January, I got a message from a teacher who said, "We've got an inset day today, but we've all been told, all the staff have been told they've got to come into school at 7:30, because before we start the inset day, we're going to do an hour's wellbeing session." Wait, get this, doing a line dancing class. It's going to get filmed, and then it's going to get put on the school's social media pages. So all these teachers are getting really anxious because they're like, "I don't want to be filmed, doing line dancing." What member of SLT sits there going, "Now what my staff need is a bit of Kenny Rogers and some cowboy hats." I actually put it out on social media, you know, what's a wellbeing initiative your school's done that's sort of missed the point. And don't get me wrong, there were some nice suggestions. Two things I've learned: if you are going to offer something for teachers' wellbeing, one, it's got to be optional. Can't force people to do it. Like the school who forces every staff member to stay behind on a Friday to do yoga. And if you don't go to the yoga wellbeing staff meeting, you get an email from the head teacher over the weekend asking you to explain yourself on Monday, right? So it's got to be optional. And the other thing is, you can't be expecting teachers to give up their own time to do it. But there were some quite funny examples. Like one school said, "Oh, we got told we could wear jeans." I mean, I don't know, does jeans improve your well-being? I've not worn a pair of jeans in about 5 years. Since the lockdown, I've just been in joggers. I'm all about, even these smart trousers I'm wearing today, they're elasticated at the waist. That's how deep I am into my jogger obsession. There was a school who did 2.5-hour twilight learning yo-yo tricks. Yeah. And you know, I'll tell you this now, if anyone ever tried to force me to do a yoga wellbeing staff meeting, I'd give them a pose, and it involved one finger. Do you know what I mean? I can't think of anything worse than being forced to sit in the hall, stand in the hall doing a downward dog, like shoving my arse in Sharon's face. Sorry about that, Sharon. All the while, I'm thinking, I've got 3 sets of books to mark after this, because tomorrow there's another book scrutiny. I want to see the irony in that. The thing with wellbeing, it's completely and utterly subjective. Like, what works for me isn't going to necessarily work for you. I'll tell you the one thing that brings me the most amount of joy in my life at the minute, which is why unfortunately I can't stay for the whole day, is I love nothing more than spending my weekends watching my kids play sport. So my kids are really into football, rugby, athletics. And from Saturday morning, Sunday afternoon, me and my wife stood out in a freezing cold field watching. And I'm telling you this now, I don't think there's a better feeling on this planet as a parent than when you stood there watching your kids play sport and another parent turns around to you and goes, tell you what, your lad's having a good game today. It is the best feeling ever. But I can't turn around to you and be like, surely we will be. Go and watch some kids play sport. You might not have kids. If you start doing that, probably going to get in trouble, aren't you? So you know what's best for your well-being. What you guys need is the time to do it. Now, what I've discovered over the past couple of years that I don't think there's anything that's had such immediate impact on reducing workload more for me as a teacher than all this emerging AI technology. I genuinely think this AI has changed my life. So I've hit a bit of so I'm turning a significant birthday this year, and with the job that I do, where I'm travelling here, there and everywhere, I've fallen into some bad habits where I'm eating out of the service station, hotel breakfast. Whenever you do an inset day in a school, they always put a spread on, and I'm a sucker for a sausage roll. So I was making some unhealthy choices. I thought, right, I've got to get myself in shape this side of my birthday before. And so I've been on a bit of a health kick, and I've dropped about 3 stone, and I feel better for it. But I'll tell you this, the AI is helping massively with that. Because what it's allowed me to do is just find time to prep meals, find time to get to the gym, find time to play paddle tennis, which is my other absolute obsession. Anyone fan of paddle? Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Right? If you've not played it, you need to play it. It's the best thing ever. So AI, I just think, but I know some teachers are a little bit wary of it, a little bit worried about this AI. I had a teacher on the training session say, I'm not touching any of that AI stuff. I don't want the robots to come and kill us all. I was like, well, first of all, stop reading the Daily Mail. And secondly, Terminator's not based on historical facts, right? Robots are not going to come and kill us all. AI will not be the downfall of humanity. It'll be about how we choose to use it. Now, I think the positives that can come from AI, and I've seen it myself, how much it saved me time, unbelievable. I can't stand there and say there won't be any negatives. There will be. You know, there are already people using this AI technology in a negative way. We have just got to be at the forefront of understanding how it works, what it can do, what it can't do, and actually start educating our children. Because whether we like to admit it or not, if our kids are accessing technology outside of school, they're already using AI. Now, as far as workload's concerned, a couple of tools. I mean, I don't need to go through these stats again. And I want to make it clear again, AI is not going to be the solution to all of these issues we're facing in education. I think we're all drowning in workload. What I found this AI to do is give us a bit of a lilo to keep our head above water with it. But some of my favourite AI tools to use are these on the board there. So I'm sure some of you are familiar with them. But a couple of things I want to talk about before I demonstrate a couple. Because there was a news story that came out of a school in London where they've introduced the first teacherless classroom. And basically this school is teaching the GCSE where AI is the teacher. It's a bit of a headline grab. It turns out there are still 3 teachers in the class. They're just not being called teachers anymore. They're being called learning coaches. And I just thought, why? And I've had it on my training where I'm talking about AI and teachers will say, why are you encouraging teachers to use AI when AI will eventually replace their jobs? I'm like, no, absolutely not. If you think AI can be as good as a human teacher, way off the mark. AI is there to help us, right? We're still going to be needed. I would argue that for the past decade, even longer, we've really lost sight of the human element of education in this country. You know, all of us got into education because we want to make a difference to young people's lives. But we're almost forced through our education system to see children not as humans anymore, but little bits of data. And we're just solely on getting that data from there to there. What this AI should be doing is put a much bigger focus back on the human element of education. And the AI can help us. The AI can generate 101 questions about a particular topic, but the AI is never going to be able to make that child understand what an incredible achievement it is that they've persevered and stuck with something, even though they found it really hard to master it. You know, AI is never going to be able to know that a child struggling to engage with their learning because of something that's happening outside of school. That's a human quality that AI will never be able to replace. So while AI can help us teach the curriculum, humans are always going to be needed to develop the whole child. So you've got to see this AI as a tool that can help us with lots of different tasks. but it should never be discussed to replace teachers because it's not got the personal connection, it's not got the understanding, the professional judgment that we bring, and that's what you've got to remember with AI. Once it generates something, that's only half the job. You've then always got to use your professional judgment to check, tweak, and evaluate the output, because what it thinks is a perfect answer is never going to be what you think is a perfect answer. So you've always got to check it, use your professional judgment. It's a great way to give you a starting point, some ideas, some inspiration, but it doesn't know your students, it doesn't know the dynamics of your classroom. It provides generic responses that, again, you need to tweak. Those generic responses are based on pattern recognition from its data set, which is the internet. And as we know with the internet, not everything's reliable. So there is the potential for AI to give us inaccurate outputs if it's referencing inaccurate data from the internet. So that's why we've always got to critically evaluate what it produces. So, yeah. Couple of tools then, very quickly. I don't know if anyone's come across Notebook LM. Notebook LM, absolutely brilliant. What this tool allows you to do is you upload the data. You upload documents. So I've been using this with my dyslexic son. My son, Harry, is 14, he's in year 9, he gets these knowledge organiser homeworks that he finds really hard to get his head around. So we've uploaded his knowledge organiser homework to Notebook LM. The AI then becomes trained in that data. You can then interact with it, so Harry can go in and ask it to quiz him on a certain topic, summarise points, explain things in better detail. But then you've also got this audio overview. Tap that audio overview, the AI then generates a podcast where 2 AI voices talk through the documents you've uploaded.
All right, folks, get ready for a deep dive today. You've sent us a whole pile of PE notes, and
so he just downloads that and listens to it as he's walking to school. What's even better now, they've introduced this interactive mode, where as you're listening to the podcast, you can then interrupt it.
All right, folks, get ready for a deep dive today. Oh, really? Someone wants to join. Hey, go for it.
Hi, yeah, can you just explain to me what the starting positions are in a game of netball?
Absolutely, I can help with that.
Let's break down netball positions for you.
Think of it like this. You've got your goal shooter.
They work with the goal attack.
These two can go inside the shooting circle.
And they're your primary scorers.
You get the idea. So from an accessibility point of view, it can be absolutely amazing. TeachMate is a tool that I have helped create to basically harness AI specifically for teachers. Anyone use TeachMate? Yeah, a couple of us, super. So what I wanted to do was create the lowest barrier to entry just for teachers to access AI to help with workload. There are over 100 tools available in this, with the main driver around reducing workload. So, you know, if you were to go on to Family Fortunes and, I was going to say Gino, but he's not going to host it anymore, is he? Whoever hosts Family Fortunes, we asked 100 teachers, what's your favourite task to do as a teacher? You said, write a risk assessment. Our survey said, so we have built tools that will do the bulk of that for you. And you just minimal input, where you're going, how you get in there, and then it will do a decent draft. You've just got to tweak a couple of things. Now, I wish I had more time to demonstrate some of the tools, but what I'd like to do is just talk you through the impact TeachMate is having. So we launched TeachMate a couple of years ago. We did this survey with over 1,800 teachers. It found to save teachers over 10 hours a week. 94% said it's improved their well-being. 90% said it's been the best initiative their schools implemented to reduce workload. 3/4, this is my favourite finding, 3/4 of teachers who are considering leaving the profession actually cited TeachMate as a reason to stay. So the fact when we're faced with the biggest retention crisis we've ever had, there's a platform there that is actually helping teachers stay in the profession is something I'm incredibly proud of. So yeah, if you are interested, I've got a couple of discount codes if you want to give TeachMate a go today. You can use the discount code MrPCPD25 and that will get you a free month. So if you do want to give it a go, see how you get on, and then if you are interested in subscribing as a school, there's a discount code there as well. Now, just before I do finish, you'll have noticed that I have been recording what I've been saying here, which I hope it has been picked up on. Let's see. It should transcribe it. There we go. So I am now going to. So yeah, I'm not a massive fan of Ofsted. I also think the best thing Ofsted could probably do. I don't need to listen to it. I can't do it. Right. What I want to do is select it all. Writing tools. I'm going. What I wanted to do was copy it all. There we go. Use AI to summarize it and then turn everything that I've said into an AI generated song. Right? That was going to be my big finish. We'll see how we are. Right, so let me just.
Can you just clarify what data your teach AI is based on?
What do you mean? What data?
Well, I mean, you're saying that like generative AI is based on the whole internet. What are you using as the information that you're?
So it starts with a base model from different AI models like OpenAI, Anthropic, and a couple of others. But what we're able to do with the AI is feed in more specific education data as well. So the we put in that extra data, so your curriculums and DFE guidance, or there's a tool on TeachMate called DocuDive, and if you go onto that, once you select your curriculum, you can see the documents we fed into it. Yeah. So I'm just going to summarize this, and I'm going to copy that summary. There we go. Oh, it's quite long. We'll just take that first paragraph, shall we? Then I'm going to jump into this tool, Suno. Anyone come across Suno? I love Suno because I love using music in the classroom. Problem is, I can't sing, and I know the impact music can have to help children remember facts. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste that there, and I'm just going to say, oh, it's not going to work, that is it? Explain why teachers are amazing in the style of a drum and bass anthem, right? There we go. Right, let's see what the AI comes out with, and we can start the morning with a rave. Hit the lights. No. So we'll play a little bit of this. Teachers are heroes. Basically, what Suno does is it writes the whole song for you. You can input a topic, you can input your own lyrics, and then you can just very quickly generate a song. They stand tall, we fall, guiding us through it all. In the class, they inspire. You know it's going to come with a big drop in a second. So it's a great little tool because I love using music in the classroom. I've used it to create our Levers song for Year 6 to make it more personalised, so you can have a good. It's absolutely free to use, and you can create songs to help explain all different type of concepts. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you found that useful, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you very much.